of the day right now on Market Pulse, and joining us to provide more perspective on market activity today is the CEO, Asha Investment Limited, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. It's a pleasure to have you on the show once again.
Pleasure always. Thank you for having me.
Always. All right, looking at what's been happening on the NGX, especially this week and this month, it's been a mixed week for the NGX. More losses than gains, if you look at it. Some market analysts, still are holding on to that optimism. They are anticipating that equities market will continue to correct from previous lows in August. But then there's another class that believe the correction will actually be downwards, right? And they're saying that H1, the market was overhyped, overcharged. So what side of the divide do you stand, when it comes to this as we scale through the final quarter of the year?
Well, I'm not an advocate. I'm not a believer in what this news about market correction. I just feel that it's about investment perception. People say market correction. When the market start going up and a particular stock start coming down, they say it's market correction. I think it's all about perception, and then again, sometimes it's all about the results that we gotten from those equity that determine the direction of the market. You can see a stock like UB after the result came out, and it went up, though it came a little bit down. Then when you look at the half year, when they say the market was overbloated in the half year, then you have to look at the result that came up those half years of those companies. So it's a normal thing for different investors to have different perception of the market, call it market corruption, call it bearish term. When it's bullish, they say it's over bullish. So I'm not I'm not a student of that. I just think that it depends on investors' perception.
So do you see anything driving perception, right? Any news or, any reports that would drive perception on the NGX ahead?
Well, that report will have to come in sense of the third quarter results that are going to come from some equities, especially the financials equity. We are expecting that third quarter report. Also expecting third quarter report from some of these conglomerates like Dangote Cement. You've seen that stock, Dangote Cement, you've seen that stock lost its steam for a while. So definitely we have to wait and see how that planned out in the third quarter. I think that is that trigger that the market needs those results to come in, then by what investors decisions. And I would say you also agree with me that there's some news that have come into the market also that investors are beginning to look at how it will play out in the third quarters of some of these equities. So definitely all hands are on deck to see what happened in the third quarter, and that could be the trigger.
So there are lots of conversations around the fact that the oil and gas stocks, as well as the banking stocks, will be the drivers of these current drivers of the markets in the coming months. What are some of the items you see substantiating this claim? And are there any underdogs that we're overlooking? Because look at what Julie Pharmacy did last quarter. Are we also going to see an underdog that's perhaps going to take over the rally?
Well, for underdog, there are always underdogs. Sometimes underdogs are those ones that have been there. I call them the Chinese bamboo trees. They just sit down there, and then all of a sudden you just see them start coming up. So those underdogs are there, and we've seen a lot of underdogs these days. You can talk about Japan, also one of those underdogs that has been bringing a lot of surprise in the market. But again, sometimes why you don't see so much talk about these underdogs in terms of liquidity. They are not highly liquid, and in terms of volume, also volumes are not there. Is there any underdog that can spring in surprise? I have not seen any yet. I mean, the normal underdogs are in the insurance sector, which normally just bring those surprise for traders. So most of the underdogs are normally where traders are, and they are very volatile. So the surprise will come in there if they move from the underdog to these very stable stocks. For the banking sector, yes, definitely they have to be. You know that they most of them will be telling us the conclusion of their rights. Most of them have done the right issue. So we'll be getting those results where they're undersubscribed, where they're oversubscribed from the what we're getting. Most of them also were fully subscribed to, and some of them was even oversubscribed. So they are thinking of how to get those all of them in. So when that comes in, we want to see whether there will be a share dilution, or we'll still see the price continue to go, or whether investors will not look at taking profit. So that's why for the oil and gas sector, I think a lot of people are expecting so much from them, and it's just due to the fact that you see those report that came in yesterday. That's why I'm talking about report that came in, the withholding tax release from oil and gas company, the kind of reforms that we are seeing there. And we have seen a stock like Seplat. Also, we are waiting for the president, say the ministerial approval will soon come in. And that could also drive other equity in the oil and gas sector. So definitely the oil and gas sector will definitely take with the kind of reform we are seeing. And then with the financial sector, we need to get those results to know how the rights of some of these banks went. And again, a bank like UBA also will be coming up with the right issue any moment from now. So definitely that is why all eyes are on those two stocks.
I mean, we'll continue to keep our eyes on them and see what happens in the markets. Equities, now to currency markets. We're seeing the gap between the official and the black market, the parallel market. We're seeing it widen a little bit, quite a bit, of late. Are you concerned that, perhaps this is creating room for speculation, right? This divide, growing divide between the official and the parallel markets?
What I always say, speculators are always part of the market. You have three people in the market. You have speculators, you have investors, and you also have shareholders. So definitely the speculators are always part of the market. So definitely they will look for opportunity to speculate. They are part of the market, and they are the ones that really get their fingers burned. Now, the difference of 15 naira compared to where we're coming from, when we used to have a difference of 300, 400, 500, I think it should be commended. So I think we are getting to that point whereby we might finally see those conversions, but that also will depend on liquidity. That also will depend on a lot of structural reforms. That also will depend on some of those policies that we think will drive in liquidity into the system. If those policy comes in, mostly what the CBN is doing, then definitely those conversions that we have been looking for a long time is definitely coming close.
All right. So the BDC operators in Nigeria are saying that the depreciation of the naira is based on scarcity of forex in the sector. Do you attest to this? And what do you think? Do you also see CBN doing enough as regards supply there?
I think the challenge why we are where we are now up to this moment is just as regard this naira issue is the retail end, which the BTC are the sole maybe provider of that end for now. So that retail end have suffered a lot since right from the time of the former CBN management team, where they said they will not be giving Peru the change FX again. That retail end seems to be the challenger, because those that need $10 million, $10 million, $15 million go to the autonomous exchange market, the willing buyer, willing seller, and they get that, and they may not get all those volume. They're bound queue for them to get it, but the retail side has been a challenge, and so there's scarcity in that space, and that is what has been affecting the general market entirely. Because those that want 1,000, those that want 2,000, they want it as soon as possible. We've not created enough in that space, enough liquidity in that space to drive down to the price or meet their demand. So definitely, I totally agree with the Bureau de Change, but again, it has to do with meeting those demands of those retail. Sometimes those demands are not up to 20 million, they're not up to $1 million. But again, because they comes in little by little, somebody want 5 SMEs, want $10,000 to import something from China or from the UK. Some people need to pay school fees. So the pressure on that space is huge, and the demand is high and the supply is very low. I think that's the main challenge.
And I mean, speaking of FX demand, there was some sort of excitement or buzz around the naira for crude, and that's, lightening demand, right, for the dollar. But October 1st was the date. That deadline has passed, nothing yet. Are you concerned about the lag there and the optimism that was expressed ahead of that?
Well, I'm part of those people that were not so optimistic about it, because again, you need to look at this government with their policy in terms of implementation. They seem to talk first before they begin to look how are we going to do it. So that's, for me, is their major challenge. If you said naira to dollar crude exchange, and this was about 3 months ago, and up to this moment, we've not gotten anything. As when the president made his speech and did not make mention of that naira to dollar issue, I knew that then we are in for a challenge. So I'm not surprised. This is not the first time. Maybe you get to hear from them now. telling us that maybe it has to go through legislation because it's in the international price, this and that. So I wonder why they wouldn't have done that before now.
Yeah.
You see the issue that has to do with the tariff of household item that was supposed to be suspended. Now we are hearing that it has to go through the National Assembly for that to be effective. So
Yeah.
sometimes I think the whole idea has to do with them saying policy without even putting on the structure to see how these policies are going to be followed through.
Yeah, I think that's a very key point. So we can't exactly get excited over news. We need to see it being put to action and being implemented. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, the CEO of Asha Investment. It's always great getting your insights on the show.
Thank you for having me.